Hello, welcome to today's conversion corner. Now, this model you're looking at isn't really a conversion. It is a Hellion that I actually picked up as part of a Dark Eldar collection that I recently had. Now, I don't plan on using these actual models as they are. In fact, I'm probably going to figure a way to use these in some other model. Oops, sorry. I don't know. I'm not certain how I'm going to use it. The actual body here. And these will probably end up being used to make a jet bike of some sort. So anyway, but that's not what this is about, this video. This video is actually on how I made my Exodite models, units. I'm calling them Wild Riders. And they represent the Hellions. So let's take a quick look at those. Alright, so here we're dealing with a model that is about the same size as the Hellion model. It fits on the flying base. So it stands out from all the other Exodite models on the table because it's the only one on the flying base. So I've kind of got the WYSIWYG aspect looking pretty good there. There are a few things I had to figure out how to do though, because the way this weapon system is set up, you have the splinter pods on here, multiple shot via wraithbow, no problem at all, easy to do, splinter weapon. Problem is you have this long glaive, hellglaive, and that's got some pretty good power on the Hellion. It's strength user +1, I believe, and it's AP 5. Great against we call them guard. Okay, but anyway, so I had to figure out how can I convert that and represent those same rules and same abilities in a completely different Exodite version of the model. And when I bought a collection of Wood Elves that came with these, there are actually 10 Wild Riders. I only have 8 done so far because I ran out of weapon arms with bows. I realized I don't need to do anything with the Hellglaive. The actual antlers on the stag itself can represent the Hellglaive weapon. And then the Exodite rider, all he needs to have is the bow. So once I had that epiphany, it was a simple matter of shaving the model off. Let's see, one of these, a couple of these do not have the rider. There it is. The rider's not mounted. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Okay, so here is the actual stag. Basically cut him off from the base and drilled a hole out underneath to run the base in. It's the flying stem. So he's flying. Okay, I've also have 8 reindeer here for my Santa sleigh, I guess. But this allowed it, since they're all jumping, every single one of them, it made sense to put them airborne, mid-jump. That gives you my Hellion look as far as think about it, it's a jump infantry. Now, that means they can, leap 12 inches forward or do fleet on the charge. Now, the deep strike part, that was a little bit harder. So I figured, well, you know what, they use webway portals. That's how I'll get them in deep strike there. All right, so very easy. Didn't have to do any conversion at all on the stags themselves. Just have to drill out for the post. And I tried to use the longest post available to give them some altitude on there. Now, as far as the rider himself, it's a Glade Rider legs with a Glade Guardian, or what do you call it, Glade Guard torso and weapon arm. Some of them actually have the shooting bow arm. Basically just the whole torso as is. In this particular case, I had to use a Dark Eldar infantry crossbowman arm, right arm, to represent his the bowstring hand. And then, of course, it's the Wild Rider head and hair. Very, very easy to do. And then, in this case, a witch knife, a witch arm. And in two of these models, I was able to actually use the cape that comes with, and the quiver and cape that comes with the actual model, Glade Guard model. However, there aren't a lot of these models. There are only 4 that are actually jumping up. The rest are jumping down, and as a result, it's hard to. Only 4 models can actually use the cape. The rest of them are too small. If you look, there's just no room to have a cape back there. So I still have the hole. From the front, they look good as is. They're ready for the tabletop where I'm sitting, from where I sit. I don't like the Wild Rider cape itself. It doesn't really have the right feel. I want something a little more flowy, so I'm going to actually start sculpting it from green stuff. Now the quiver is a little more challenging. Quiver doesn't have to be on the back. I'm actually thinking of finding a way to make a quiver, and I'll actually put it on the right-hand side front of the stag, so that the arrows are right there in front, ready to be knocked. Now I chose to. These were already built, so it wasn't really a choice on my part, but I couldn't break the hair off the heads much. So in this case, I don't know what you call the Wild Riders, Exarch or Sergeant guy, but that's the head for the Sergeant. So I'm using him as the Hellions Sergeant. He's my Wild Rider Count, and so I didn't give him any special weapons. Again, I'm trying to keep this a very flavorful Exodite list. In this case, it's strictly dealing with the rapid fire bows and close combat weapons, especially with that stag's antler rack. I don't know if you guys have ever been close to a deer. Even the whitetail around here, those antler racks are pretty impressive. And an elk, which are even larger, which are more like the size of these, those are very dangerous. So I don't see any reason why the Hellglaive stat wouldn't line up well with an antler rack from a stag. So I'm going to go over a couple points that I encountered. Let's see if this focuses here. Maybe too close. Actually, I think I zoomed in a bit much. And there we go. Okay, so it was actually very straightforward painting these up. The antlers were bleached bone with a wash of soft tone from RE Painter, and they actually highlighted into the scroll work on the antlers very well. I don't know if you can actually see that well on here. Yeah, it's not coming in as brilliantly as I was hoping. I try to keep more earth tones, and again keep the stag's earth tones a little more. I really don't like the way GW is tuning a lot of their painting. As one of the guys at the shop put it this last weekend, it looks like comic book art. And you look at the stags and the Wild Riders and the latest, or the last codex for the Wood Elves, and they don't look at all natural. So I went with a more natural approach, trying to get the manes the same color. I did forget to put the soft tone on the tail, and actually you'll see the tail and the mane are the same color. You'll actually can hopefully see the difference in color of the two. This is much more orange yellow than the mane. So I'll be fixing that shortly. Okay. Again, went with the earth tones. This is actually a silver gray antler rack, so it's ornamental. I wanted some of the more gold, Exodite brightly colored headgear, and you really can't see an elf face, which I liked. It was really this really met my expectations as far as the model goes. What I'm looking at as an Exodite, that is definitely a battlefield unit that I'd want to see on the tabletop. So I've got 8 done, and I'm ready to start doing that. It didn't take long. It's the parts go together really well. The Glade Guard torso mates very well with the Wild Rider legs, and it sits pretty nice. Now you have to be very careful with the angle of the bow itself. When you have the bow arm that's you actually put on separate, you have to make sure that you know how that rider is going to sit so that he's not too close to the antlers. This one is an example. Now, of course, he was glued on already. I couldn't do much about the legs. I could not get him off the legs. And his bow arm is really close. He's actually leaning almost into the rack. Considering he's coming down off a leap, it's not unlikely that that would happen, but I didn't want all of mine to be that way. So as you're building these kits, if you do want to put bows on them, you're going to have to be careful on how you mount them. Test fit the torso and leg, so the leg torso combination on the stag before you glue it in place, so that you know that it's going to sit real well. I would have liked him being leaning back a little bit further. So, okay. All right, so there's the my conversion for my Hellions for my Exodite army. I call them the Wild Riders right out of the Wood Elf book. Okay. Only difference, again, it's not just the Wild Rider kit you need. You're going to need Glade Guard, because the Wild Riders are a close combat unit in the Wood Elves Codex, but Hellions have both close combat and a shooting attack, and so you need to represent that. So you are going to have some a bow of some sort. All right, let me know what you think. Go ahead and share, like, and subscribe, and if you can help me out a little bit and help me really evaluate this unit against the elves in the Kings of War, I want to make sure that I'm not going out of my way and stretching it too far. I think these work for the Silver Breeze Cavalry. So I'd like a second opinion on that outside my game group. All right, thanks a lot. I will see you guys in the next video. It will probably be an actual studio armor review where I talk in detail about how to use the Hellion unit, or in my case the Wild Riders, within my lists. Okay? Talk to you later. Thanks for sticking with me. Bye-bye.